Ashtanga Yoga. So, Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. The last three are more of mental related. Samyama, the last three, which is Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, wherein we put in the efforts for what? For understand, for ultimate liberation. But at the same time, we cannot say that just by the last three alone, I will get the thing, because these are the eight limbs. So each of the limbs are important for a yogi. Sometimes we call it as sequential, but in reality, it is not sequential. Initially, when you're on the path, we say you try to perfect asana, then you do pranayama, then you do dharana, pratyahara, and all that. But in reality, for a yogi who has reached a certain point of stability, all of this are important. Okay. So, but now what happens is he starts explaining why you have to practice yama niyama. It is not just because that you will get sins. See, like when in some religions, when they say you have to do this, what happens if you ask them what happens if I don't do this? You will get sins. What happens if I follow that? Then you will get, salvation or punya. Same thing in punya papa. But here it is not like that. Here he says that you do this because you are mind and your overall purification, what we call as a restlessness of our mind, the impurities of our mind, and the wrong notions in our mind, all this slowly start going away. Okay, so this is why we start doing yama niyama. So the first, so I'll go through some of the verses. So we will start with the 33rd verse. We did until 32, I think, last time. So we will start with the 33rd verse. So here the 33rd verse, what he is saying is Vitarka Bhadane, Pratipaksha Bhavanam. So simple ways, Pratipaksha Bhavanam is doing opposite of what is causing you trouble. If you are being troubled by negative thoughts, then obviously Pratipaksha Bhavana is positive thoughts, So same thing. Pratipaksha Bhavana is that which avoids, which stops this, something which is contrary to this. So now he goes a little further and he picks up the first one, which is ahimsa. So this is a long explanation. Vitarka, meaning doubts or the act of violence, that which produces violence. And adyaha, that is the Sanskrit, how it is. Whenever we add adi, meaning related, or that which is related, that is how it is in Sanskrit. So in which produce violence and related actions, which are performed, caused, to be done, or endorsed. So now he's saying, initially when he said ahimsa, we all thought I should not be non-violent, right? This is generally how we think. But what he's actually saying is that non-violence or ahimsa is not just that we are not doing. We shouldn't cause somebody to do act non-violence, violence. Meaning okay, I will not slap you, but I'll get somebody else to slap you, So that is not done, right? So that is that same thing. You should not perform. You should not be the cause for that. Or you should not endorse it, meaning we don't even approve of violence anywhere. Why? Because these are caused by these kleshas in a way. In a way, here what he describes as kleshas is as this greed, anger, delusion. So these are what has caused the thing. Okay, so even if they are in minor, meaning soft ways, mediocre or substantial way, they bring about spiritual ignorance. So now what he's saying is, see, this is not so much that he's not saying you have done himsa, you will get bad karma, bad sins. This is not what he's saying. He's saying this will cause ajnana. This is the one of the causes for ajnana. And he has already mentioned ajnana, tasya hetu ajnanaha. That sutra I mentioned, meaning He said the problem is ignorance. And when you do himsa, what happens? You get deluded. You get into that state of deluded mind of ignorance. So that is why you have to practice opposite. What is opposite? Ahimsa. What is ahimsa? Non-violence in your thought, in your words, in your action. As much as we are able to do that. Okay. So we will move on to the next one. Actually, the same one. How does ahimsa get established? He says, ahimsa pratishtayam tat sannidhav vairattyagaha. So the one who is established in non-violence, pratishtayam, one who is firmly grounded, one who has grounded himself in that non-violence, in his presence, others will also not be violent. They will give up their hostility. There is sometimes you see in some very old Vedic things, you will see that some rishi is sitting, pictures, old pictures. Rishi is sitting in his Gurukul and maybe he's teaching or he's meditating or something. And then there is a lake near him. And in that lake, there is this tiger, there is a goat, and there is all these different animals, there's birds, there's cats, everything, they're all there without causing any harm to each other. Why? Because the presence of that sage, presence of that one who is established in that ahimsa will bring out that vibrations of ahimsa in others, So that is a sadhana, that is a practice. So these are all practical practices, and we have to introspect how much I can practice in my life. So it is not that ahimsa is literally saying that I should become a doormat, I should not fight for what is right, or I should say yes to everyone, I should give everyone what they want. No, it is not like that, And a very good example of that is Gandhi itself, Mahatma Gandhi. He didn't give up what he wanted, or what the country wanted. He continued to fight for it, but he fought it on the grounds of ahimsa. And that teachings comes from Bhagavad Gita, comes from these yogic teachings itself. So this is the teachings of given in our why we practice it, and we have to introspect in our own lives how we practice it. And we can discuss this at the end of the class if anybody has any questions on that. So we will do the rest of them quickly. So the next one is Satya. Not to say Asatya is the goal. That is, how do you do that? Satya pratishtayam kriya pala shrayatvam. So one who is established in Satya pratishtayam, kriya pala shrayatvam. So what is he taking ashraya in? What is he taking support in? Is that whatever is his actions, whatever is his actions, that will give the results. Meaning, we say that somebody who is established in truth, whatever he speaks, people will believe, or it will manifest in life. So that is why we say sometime, you get blessings from sages and all, like sometimes we hear this, some old Indian fables, mythological stories. Somebody say, may to someone who is a barren woman, a rishi gives a sage, says, may you have children. So just his word, the power of his word, because he's established in always saying the truth. The power of his word manifests, and she gets that boon or that result. So like that, Satya pratishtayam kriyapala ashrayatvam. So now this is the result. This is not so much that if you are doing so much right, Satya, you will get so much punya. It's not again, just to re-emphasize that. So he's giving very practical and direct results of that. Now next one is Asteya. Asteya means non-stealing. Asteya pratishtayam sarvaratnopasthanam. So one who is established in Asteya, Pratishtayam, Sarvaratna, all gems, all jewels, Upasthanam, are waiting, or they come upon them. they serve them. So this is where we say, if somebody is established in more of what is called as the uh, non-stealing, meaning he doesn't take things that doesn't belong to him, and he's happy, content with what he gets. Then what happens is those things that he needs, those or all the riches or all those things start coming to him. And this is also, they say sometimes, there are people who write about this. They say there is a law, like if you start giving, you start generally giving to people, then a lot of things start coming to you naturally. This is how the law works, and of course we have to be careful whom we are giving it to. Just not giving it to anyone, but at the same time, that act of giving, act of not hoarding, which is also he'll explain in Aparigraha, the one of them. But here is more specifically non-stealing. Now, I like to think of it another way. When he says jumps, okay, what happens is when we stop this habit of taking things which is kind of given, like if somebody borrows, says that, okay, I will give you this book, or I will give you my computer or something for your use. Now, he or she doesn't ask it back. But as a principle, we should make it a point that we give it back to them. Why is this? Because, see, this is the mental quality. So this is what I relate to when he talks here about Ratna, jumps. The jumps are not so much the physical jumps. The jumps are your qualities. For one who is rooted in positive qualities, a lot of good things start coming in their life. People start trusting them. People start having goodwill in them, and most importantly, this person is independent of how people treat him or what he has in his life. And these gems are really the gems of our mind, gems of our qualities. So that start coming to somebody, upasthanam. Okay. So now the next one, brahmacharya pratishtayam. What is brahmacharya pratishtayam give us? It gives us virya labha. So now virya can be interpreted in different ways. One is that one who practices continence, meaning one who is established in celibacy. He has a lot of inner energy, inner strength, because he doesn't lose that physical energy easily. Much more deeper way is that according to your ashramas, if you are married or if you are in a relationship, you are staying honest to that relationship. Then what happens? Your mental energies are not scattered. You're not lost in other temptations. You are not thinking that, okay, maybe if I'm in another relationship, I'll be happier. Or it's if I, seek out something, like that constant sense we have, that sense of seeking, this constant sense of seeking, which we have in us. That is actually taking us and making us rajasic all the time. And we lose energy that way. Now, in reality, it is not so much that this one relationship will give you all the happiness. So this is why, if those of you, if you're looking for a perfect relationship, still somewhat of a bad news, or this is just my version, or you can say the scriptural version. It is not that one perfect relationship will give you happiness, because see, these relationships and everything are also part of what you have brought in as your samskaras and karma. So you'll eventually end up having a relationship that has been developed by your samskaras, So the way to really find that happiness is to realize that independence, that happiness within you. Okay. And most importantly for a yogi is to break away from the samskaras. When you break away from the samskaras, then what happens is the negative samskaras, then you start developing the free will. And then it is possible that you will end up finding the perfect partner. Because at that point, your will is not biased. You're not driven just by your, in this case, instinctive tendencies, physical tendencies, You are driven more by the higher purposes. You will try to see the spiritual purpose in even in having a relationship. So that is how brahmacharya. The literal meaning is Brahmam Acharanam iti brahmacharya. That is the Sanskrit one. One who is established in self, one who is established in the supreme constantly. He doesn't fall trap to this aspect of what is called as worldly desires. So his energy is what, in a more yogic sense, we call this as the energy that is flowing outward through all the nadis and to especially enliven all our senses. The prakriti, how it moves back. It is how in from our top of our head to the lower parts of our body, it's getting dissipated. So through certain tantric practices like Kundalini yoga and all that, this energy is reversed back. And what happens when this energy is reversed back? It is made available to gain wisdom through the cerebral region, Sahasrara. You gain the highest wisdom back when that energy is channeled again. Okay, now the last one verse we will do for today, Aparigra. So now he's talking about non-possessiveness or non-greediness. What happens, he says, when you have non-greediness is that, he says, you start understanding the cause of your birth. So there's two ways to look at it. What is he talking about when he talks about Janma Katamta Sambodha? What does it mean? Is that I first realize, why am I born? Meaning, what kind of samskaras, what kind of past life impressions I'm carrying even in this life. So when I stop being greedy, when I stop hoarding things, meaning when my samskaras is no longer focused just on what I can have in this life, then I can look more inwardly to see that what are the imprints I'm carrying, what are the tendencies I'm carrying, and how do these tendencies get me stuck. So this is what is, and so in a more broad way, in a more literal way, what the commentator is actually saying is, he's saying that the person who's established in this wisdom will gain knowledge of previous lives and possibly of future lives. So this in many cases in yogis thing, these are called as siddhis, where they have knowledge of their previous lives, and it is not an essential siddhi. Meaning it is not essential for happiness, it is not essential for liberation. It is useful from the perspective of understanding my samskaras, what some imprints I carry, what I have to overcome, what good actions I was called towards. And most importantly, we also say that when you understand about your past lives, you will understand that teachings that you are drawn to, or the teacher through whom you are drawn to. So those are helpful from a very broad ways. But in a more realistic sense, it is like understanding ourselves. So being content with what we have is what he's advising here. Okay. So these are the yamas. So we have gone through all the yamas for today. And next class, we will take up niyamas.